Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. We're in our trading room as usual. We do this every morning. For my YouTube viewers, this week is free for you. And if you really like what we do, I hope you can share it. And to my traders as well, I think these videos are really not getting, it's not reaching the amount of people it should reach that it can help. So on a quick review, it's not Fridays yet, but a quick review. If you're following us this week, Monday, we got the Euro trade. You got the silver trade, you got the gold trade. Right? I'm not even considering the smaller ones, which was the pound trade. And yesterday you got the yen trade. If you got nothing else, every day you had a very good trade. Some of them were break even. And I'm telling you, like when we took numerous trades, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trades, some of them were break even. But if you look back at them, there was no solid loss. There was, I think, one trade where we had a loss, but then the next trade onto that trade was also a positive trade. So basically, if you look back and you review the trades you should have been taking, where you should have been taking, how you manage these trades, you were supposed to be making money. Now let's forget about the making money part, because 90% of the traders out there this week lost money. That's a stat, right? And I think if you look at the stats and you go back and you check, at least 80% of them lost money. Now, the idea is if they had seen these videos, and let's say they didn't even make money because they didn't take the trade, would they have probably not lost money by saving and saying, you know what, I'm looking to sell yen and this guy's talking about buying yen, right? What should I do? Maybe, okay, let me wait and see which one works, right? Or I was looking to buy euro, like the guy who actually wrote me and said, why are you selling euro? We are buying euro. Euro looks like it's at the bottom to go up. Now, if he is cautioned, and I think he should make a comment about that, if he's cautioned and my video helped him in any way, saying, hey, you know what, I was thinking about buying it, but this guy said sell, so let me see what he's saying, and turned out it's a sell, then at least he didn't lose money, right? Because he probably would have gotten the buy and lost the trade or two. And it keeps coming down because we saw that the possibility still has more to go. See? So get these videos to traders. 90% of those traders you're going to get the video that will never join my course, not because they don't want to, not because they don't like what I do, because they don't have the money to join. The course is not cheap, and there's a reason for that, right? It's worth every cent. I think any one of you in here will not doubt that it's worth every cent you paid. You have lifetime access. You get this webinar every day with detail, and you get 5 or 6 times a day that we come in the room and we do live trading. Yesterday, I couldn't come in because I had to take my daughter to the hospital. Couldn't come in for the New York session. But normally I'm there 1-2 times, right? So we will continue to do that. And if I'm not there, I'm pretty sure my senior traders are there doing something and helping you. So let's get them to more people. I do believe that more people should see the videos because it's going to help them. It's up to you guys to help share it. Let's go. So to the YouTube viewers, I hope you guys got this straight. The entry we made yesterday when I came in the room, some of my traders had this entry. You could either have this entry or you could have taken this entry. Any of those would work. Any of those would be in your profit. Now we've got to be very careful. Remember, we're the weekly top. So this is where I want to warn traders, because if you don't understand wave analysis, this might look really, really crazy to you. But remember when it was at the bottom here and we were saying this thing would have to go and break this top only? Minimum, that was the minimum. It has to go break that up to complete a 1, 2, 3 wave structure with the possibility of breaking this top if it makes a running flat. And one trader even said, well, hey, I don't believe this thing is going to go there. And if it does what Anil says, I'm going to stop trading. Well, he should be in my group by now. I hope so that you will learn something. You don't have to stop trading. Now, again, I'm telling you, this will come down. You can believe me or don't believe me. It's up to you. I'm telling you the way patterns work, right? Is that when it breaks the stop. Now, this can go for a while more because this is a weekly running flat. And that means this is the impulse right into that. This is the impulse into this one. And this could literally go higher than that before you come back into this, make a running flat like this, and then go. So we don't stop buying it because of that. Now we know it's a weekly running flat. It could go higher. And then it will come back down, and then we'll be selling, and then we'll be buying again. We've seen these patterns a million times, not once, not twice. And this could go higher. So every buy setup we get, we'll take. But every single sell setup we get, we'll absolutely take it. No question asked. It doesn't matter if that sell setup become a break even, a small loss, and I mean a small loss, because most times it will be, if you take it and it doesn't go away, small loss, break even or profit. We'll still take it. So you go back to the 4 hour. We do have a lot of divergence on all time frame, no question asked, daily, weekly, everything. There's a lot of divergence. You can see some divergence here as well. We just broke the top. You can see divergence there. And the same would be on the 1 hour. You'll see a lot of divergence if you go, right? See this last impulse here, and this whole piece is having some divergence. You can get more upside. That doesn't mean divergence is not the end of the move. It's just the momentum is dying, so you have to be careful. If we get a flag again, we'll buy it. If it makes another nice flag, you can buy it with caution. This was a big one, so this buy was sure. You know the impulse is going to be huge enough to give you break even, and you have profit also. So we'll see how far this goes, and then we'll follow. Any reversal with an impulse to the downside and a flag will sell. Absolutely, right? So now, right now, there's no trade. You either wait for another flag to buy or you wait for the reversal to sell. Dollar index, that's all. Dollar index is still going. And like I said, these smaller ones is going to continue to do that. At some point, you have to take it and stay with it because we're going to break that up now. And again, when the war started and everybody was thinking that's a doomsday for dollar, when Russia says you have to buy oil in rubles, everybody thought it's a doomsday for dollar. We know it was going to go break the top. And it could go quite a lot more, right? Remember, this is the monthly and weekly chart, right? This is the bigger chart, and this thing could go quite a lot more to the upside. We don't know. And as a matter of fact, you can make another correction and keep going, right? This could still be the same structure. It could even make a much more bigger correction here and still keep going. So doomsday for the dollar is a little too early. Way a little too early. Just be careful. It broke the top. When it breaks the top, any sell setup we get, good sell setup, we'll take, which means we'll be expecting it to come back. Now, we don't know how high it's going to go, but we'll be expecting it to come back, like we expect yen to come back, right? We expect Swiss to go down. The only one we don't really expect to go down is CAD. But then if CAD is in a correction, if CAD makes that daily correction, you guys know the daily correction I'm talking about, then CAD will go down and up and down and up in a very huge range. And we could stay there for a whole year, even if dollar is falling, right? So we know that possibility exists as well. So let's just wait and see what happens. Watch this, trade it to the upside. It's starting to stretch, and when they started to stretch, they can go really fast. Silver, we're consolidating, we're coming down. Nothing new here, expected. Let's see if we get another trade. I think we're likely going to break the low. I don't think it's going to be a flat. We wanted to know whether that option of a possible flat was going to happen here, where it could come here and go back up. I don't think that is so. We can't exclude it as yet until we break the low, but I don't think that is so. I think we're coming to break the low now. That was just a deep correction. So any sell setup you get, you should take it. Do we have a sell setup here today? Well, you had one, that's gone already. I think we might be able to put this as a running flat. We could put this as a running flat here because there's a lot of pullback in there, and that makes sense. Wait for any flag, sell. If you sold here, this one, or if you sold this one, or if you put an entry under the low, you're good. Stay with it for a while and wait for the next flag. Only after the flag, you'll get a sell, right? So this one would mostly be this. And we assumed that when we looked at this because it was a little sharp. It was more of a 15-minute flag we took, but we still took the trade, and that was okay, right? So this was a sell. I think this one we missed, but we took a sell here, and then the sell could have been here, and then you can sell this one here. And if you sell any of those, you're doing well. Wait for the next flag, sell again. Same thing with gold. Gold, as a matter of fact, yesterday you were supposed to sell it. And if you sell it yesterday, this was the one you should stay with. Remember what I said, this has a perfect pattern. This first move up is now never a problem, especially since the first 1 hour already going through your thing. That's not your problem. On the down way, if it comes down like this, that's your problem. If it drops straight like this, good, you're good to go. Put it to break even and leave it. Pretty good, right? So it's working. If you're still in that trade, you took the trade unit, you're doing excellent. Now we'll see what happens. Wait for another flag again. If you want to sell, wait for another flag. This could drop quite a lot. I've shown this pattern 100 times, but I can show you 101 times. We're expecting it to do this. 1, 2, 3. With a small flag here that came down like this and then go back up. The small flat here came down like this, went back up deep. I showed you that pattern. Go back and look at it when we were at the bottom here. That is likelihood is they'll do exactly this, and then it will drop, and then it will drop. Can't say you didn't see it, right? Now, what would happen when we come here is that the likelihood, and there's a possibility, we think it could go back up there, then come back down. Would it do that? Now, if it doesn't do that, what are the next likely thing it could do? So you'd have to look at the pattern and see, is there a possible contracting flat in the middle? Because this is your impulse down, right? So is there a possible contracting flat in the middle that we can look at? I don't have any contracting flat in the middle. Nothing in here shows me contracting flat. Now, if you look at the bigger picture, you probably ask yourself, okay, what if this was the low? Instead of the one that I'm looking at as the low, that is this one. What if this was the low? And this was all the correction coming down. If that's the case, then this is the next move up. And this move is much sharper than this one. Right? If you look at it that way, logically, let's assume that this is the low. I got it wrong. This chart doesn't have it as the low, but let's say some other chart has it as low. And this was the low, and this was all the correction here. That was a sharp move up. We didn't break the top. And that just makes a hell for you, because that means this becomes an impulse in relationship to this. So if we got an impulse there, then we will end up with a bigger correction here. Another impulse up, come back down, and then go. I don't think it's doing that. So we will stick to what we have right now, because I think this is the most logical one. I don't see this dropping through the bottom. Again, I don't think that's a contracting flat in there. I'm not looking at it as a contracting flat right now. So there's a likelihood that this is going to come a little more here and then start going back up. Now the up would only complete this running flat. So at some point we might come back down like this and then continue to go up. Now, how high would this go in that running flat before it comes back? And that is the question. Looking at yen, it could go pretty high. So once we come down a little more, you start looking for that buy setup. Let's go in the 1 hour. It's still a sell. I still think there's a lot more to go. We don't have any turning point as yet. But once we get that turning point, we start looking for buy setups and we'll go with it. This one you're supposed to be selling, and it's doing exactly what I said it should do, which is we're looking, once we got all these sharp waves in here, we're starting to expect some kind of a consolidation somewhere. Wait for this to finish, go back up, come back down, make a new high, drop. Just wait for it, right? We see these things because we've seen them 1,000 times before. Euro, still downside, and we're probably gonna go break that low. So it's not far from the low. Any flag you get, any correction, there's a sharp move here. Do we have a sharp move to go with it? Let's see in the 15. Nope, we don't have anything to go with that. So if you get a pullback today, sell it. Actually, this was a nice sell yesterday. If anybody took that, if you close and you re-enter here, that's a good trade. If you close it there, you took some profit. Wait for this to pull back, sell it. Two things now. If it makes a flag anywhere, sell it. If it pulls back, sell it. If it pulls back, it will be a pretty good size correction. So that pullback could be the single drop that might bring you to the bottom. Now we might get to that bottom, break the low, and then we don't know how low that will go before it comes back up. Now we have a few sharp waves that aren't that didn't really go anywhere, but I think we might end up taking these two sharp waves for the running flat. This one, see that one there, and this one here for the running flat, because that's the best thing we can do right now. It's okay. We just wanted this to be a little bigger, and then it would have been perfect. It's not perfect, but it's okay. I think you can go. These are two. You see, this one is shorter, this one is longer. But this one was easy to do because you could have seen the correction in here, right? This one has a lot of correction, but this one didn't go that sharp. So we assume that it might not be. But it's okay. If you go with that with the daily, you'll probably see better, right? This one was a sharp one, and this one was a sharp one. They're not exactly the same size, but for running flat purpose, they don't have to be the same size. So I think now that we're breaking the low, that's probably what we're going to go with, and this one is just going to drop to the bottom. That's it. When you drop to the bottom, then what's next? You're going to complete a really, really big corrective structure. Can it be more corrective or bigger than this? It's possible, right? It's very possible. But it started from here. We made a hell of a lot of correction. We did a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the bottom here. And then we actually did this big flat, and now it's coming down. So now we have to wait. By the way, if you were in, I think was somewhere here, that would be, yeah, in 2019, this would be weird. Let me just get it. Let me just make sure I'm getting it correctly. look at a class we did sometime here, right? Sometime in 19 or 20. One of you guys who did that course with me in somewhere in 19 or 20 when we did this forecast. When we look back when we were in this correction and we said there's possibility of this being a big running flat. And then at the regular flat, we're looking at a regular flat, a big flat coming back to the top here, breaking this top and then dropping for this final move down. Right, so you should go and look at that forecast. Whoever was a trader in that, when we looked at it and we were looking at that option and said, what do you think if that is possible? I said, yep, that is possible. Let's see if that is going to work. Because this one was already giving us enough information that it's a correction to go back up. We knew that then, right? So we did that, and I told the trader, okay, you might not believe it's going to happen because this up move had not started as yet. But keep that snapshot and see whether it ever comes out to happen. And that's years ago, right? So literally you can see that you do these things to keep it so you can see how it happens. And it happens in all time frame, starting from the 1 minute, right? So when we break this low, how low this can go? It can go pretty low, right? You can end up with a stretch like this, breaking this low by how much, look, right? So you might end up till at the bottom here before it goes back up. Now, a lot of traders might say, well, that doesn't seem possible, right? Euro being so weak. I don't know. I'm not looking for any reasons to why it should be. So the reasons will come up by themselves. I'm looking at what the chart normally does. So we'll see. Maybe the European continent will be in a bigger crisis than we think they're going to be. Well, we don't know. So let's see. Let it come. It's down. It could go lower. The only thing I'm looking is whether this pattern itself can get more complex. And I don't see that complexity. I don't see any possibility because this one was pretty sharp. If that wasn't so sharp like this, I would probably say be careful of the running flats because all running flats, all are the contracting flats, because all contracting flats can become running flats in the future. But this one is pretty sharp. So, and especially the dollar index has a running flat. The dollar index does not have one of the contracting flats. It has a running flat. So that's a complete pattern by itself. We're not expecting that to be more complex. So keep selling. I don't think it's going to pull back anymore. I think we're just going to continue to go, right? So any flag, any correction, any pullback in this one here would be a nice sell setup today. Pong. The chart says it all by itself, right? And I'm not talking about even this one that some of us might manage to get, right? Look at this. This was a sell here too. This was a sell here. And you'll probably get another sell here today, right? So if you did close this one and re-enter, if you close it, you re-enter here. The close and re-enter would be here if you did, right? You close the positive, you re-enter, you should be back in the trade. Right now, you don't need to close this one because it will probably pull back. I think this is making the B part of this one here. Right? This one we could make an argument for some. Let's see in the lower time frame what the structure of that piece would be. Now you probably already finished the running flat. If you take this as a separate one of its own, you probably complete that running flat here. That running flat completed itself right there. So there is no need for this to actually go back up. See? You put an entry here, but I would say wait for a flag under this if you're going to sell it. If you're not in the trade, right? The sell was this one. If you close and re-enter here good enough, you can stay with it for the break even. I don't think it's going to be more complex unless this becomes a much more complex one like this, for example. Let's assume this goes back up. Right, then we still have to get one down and one up, which means one down, one up, completed for a much bigger flat, and then drop. That possible because it's coming down slow, but sometimes when you get a running flat, this could be a slow move down by itself. I don't see where we put this with anything over there. It doesn't fit with anything else. Could it be a much smaller one like this, a smaller flat like this? Could we go with a smaller one like that, and this is making a separate one? It's possible. You can make that argument. So if you're in this trade, you would just put it to post break even. If you got in anywhere here, put it to break even and leave it. So that if they do make a spike back to the top like this, then we will put an entry order here for a sell. We know Euro can make that spike. So if this makes a spike, you put an entry order here, or we try to get a sell from the top coming down, whichever comes first. Aussie. Okay, so Aussie did give you that possible running flat pattern, and all of you should be in the sell, right? Because we talk about this probably becoming a running flat and you're in the sell. If you're in the sell, good. If you're not in the sell, wait for another pullback. I think another one like this would be okay for this smaller running flat, and then go with that trade down. We know where Aussie is going, and we know Aussie is going to go back up, right? We know that Aussie will definitely go back up at some point once we break this low. Whether it goes back up as a corrective structure for a much bigger corrective, much bigger correction, because this is the impulse. I don't think this is coming to break that low, right? I think it's correcting downwards. So this one is pretty sharp. If this is a correction, that is pretty sharp. So what we look for when we see that is the possibility of this coming here, breaking the low, and then starting something that is bigger, right? Making all of this, come back here, right? Going back up, coming back down, and then going back up. End up with a big correction like that. That possibility exists. Can it actually, is there any reason for it to come back and retest the low? I can't find which one we're going to put this with. In this was corrective. There is no sharp one here that, this one way back and it's too small. It's more part of that one. So there's nothing there to look for to say that it's a possible running flat. Let's wait and see. So coming back here, I think we'll just probably go break this low, which means some more downside is there. Any sell setup you get will be good. And New Zealand, you're absolutely supposed to be selling. No questions asked. All right, this one you're supposed to be selling everything all the time because we're absolutely sure that this was very corrective and we're still in the downtrend, which means if you don't sell, remember that I was always saying if you have to sell Aussie, sell New Zealand. If you have to buy Aussie. So if there's a buy setup, take it in the Aussie. If there's a sell setup, take it in the New Zealand. Perfect. Now this is the bigger structure, right? So you already broke the low of the bigger structure. Now that doesn't mean it can't come lower. That means you have to be very cautious now at this point. If we break through that structure, make any flag or correction, could we possibly go all the way to the bottom? And this one has that possibility, right? Slightly that possibility exists. We spoke about that when we were looking at this, right? And we were thinking, what if all of this is some kind of a corrective structure coming down here for a possible running flat? The only thing I don't like about that is the slowness with which this is going down, right? This is going down pretty slow. I would like to see it go down like this or go up like this, right? Then I'll be pretty sure, you know what, that is the running flat we're going down. And because it's not doing that, I'm very cautious. I'm thinking, well, maybe no, this is just going to end up going back up. That's the most likely possibility right now. When they do this, it's likely that it is going to do this because this is where it came in. And because we're coming in at this, we'll see if there's a rare chance that it end up doing this, and come back all the way to the bottom. It's possible, but it's rare. So let's see. We'll just stick around and wait and see how this goes. Now that you've broken the low, now is when you have to be cautious, right? I still think there's more downside to go. I mean, this is, if you're following me for the entire week, you definitely made money in this one, right? There's nowhere you couldn't make money in this thing. And I don't care how you traded, you made money. So coming back to this, we broke the low. That was the target, breaking the low. I think we could go lower, which means if we get a flag, we'll keep selling. But what if we get a reversal? We'll absolutely buy. Now, Euro hasn't broken the lows yet. Aussie hasn't broken the lows yet. Dollar index hasn't broken the top as yet. So if they make corrections, we would anticipate that those pairs are going to go one more, right? To complete those patterns, which means New Zealand is just going to go down some more. Keep trading. Swiss. This one is a little strange. I mean, it's still going up, but I don't see where this whole thing, but it's being weird all the time. This is not the first piece that looks that weird. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's going up quite a lot, much more than I expected, even if you're making a running flat and it is making a running flat. I still don't see where we get it. So if I have to buy, I probably wouldn't buy this. Again, I'll probably buy the CAD, buy the yen, not buy this. If I get a sell setup here, I'll absolutely take it, right? So if you get a flag, you can buy with caution. I don't think it's going. It looks fast, but you can see the pullback would probably give you. This is probably the only nice one, that piece. This one here, if it pulls back, you can go for a trade, but you have to be very cautious. Again, this one is not the best setup to go with. CAD, if you get buys, you should absolutely take it. At least back to that top. And then from there, we'll see. What if this does one of what if this give us one of the Swiss movement, right? Where we think it's just going to come here, stop and go, and then it keeps going here. Is that possible? Again, the Swiss one didn't look possible, right? For that movement, right? It might be a running flat. You could make an argument with it. This 1, 2, 3 makes a big flat here and then come back like this. That'll possibly work. That'll be a bigger running flat than usual, but it's possible. So if you get buy in this, take it. I don't think they'll repeat that pattern, but let's go. Any buy setup we get, we'll take it. So go back to the 1 hour. You're getting some consolidation. You might get a chance to put an entry here and go for the buy. It still has a lot more to go. Put an entry here. If this was a flat here, let's see whether that was a flat. We still have one sharp move here that doesn't fit anywhere as yet. Let's see in the 15. I don't think this is a standalone, and I don't really see it fitting. This one is a little too short for it. We could make an argument in that. Here's what would be the best thing. You put that entry order, keep a stop here. And if this pulls back here, right, that would be the perfect buy setup. We'll go with this flat. We'll go with this flat. This is a smaller version of a flat to break the top there. And then we will see when we break that top, if they decide to do this, make this a running flat and then go, because we don't have anything in the past for this. And there's no with nothing. This was the low and it just went up. So I think it could become a running flat. If any one of my traders got very aggressive and took this one, good for you. Put it to break even. And when it breaks the top, we'll see whether this becomes a running flat. Do I think this is part of this one? Not really. This one is a little too short. This doesn't fit. We'll see, but somewhere in the future, we could get this, right? Somewhere in the future, that is possible in the 1 hour. Take the trade, you still keep the stop under this. So you take the trade and we'll see how far they go. Right? Yen, wait for flags, buy. If you're in the trade, good for you. You can stay with it. If you're not in the trade, wait for flags. Euro, New Zealand, it's kind of corrective. We've got the up move back. So you've got this 1. You've got a 2, it broke the low, taps, you go back for a 3, we're making a running flat there. It's possible it might get a little more complex, and then we're going to look for the downside now. Remember the possibility of this one becoming a running flat to what I don't think it is, because we just broke this low, right? This one came down, broke the low, it stayed for a while, it's going back up. If we're gonna make that assumption that this is a running flat, see the sharpness of that, we're not getting that. What you want is you either keep an entry for a buy here or wait for a flag above this top. You know the rules, right? If you get a flag above that top, we'll buy. If you don't have a flag above that top, you have to buy above this top. Buying here is dangerous. As a matter of fact, you're looking for a sell now. So if you put a sell, you could put a sell entry right here, right? This one wasn't really a sell, especially when it go back sharp like that. This was the low of this move. You're not looking for a sell there because that's one sharp move. So what you can do is put a sell entry here. Even if you sold this, I hope you close that here, right? That is how much hours? You know, you shouldn't be in that trade. So put an entry here now, and if this drops, we get the trade. If it drops, we're going to go for the bigger flat, which is this one, right? We're going to go for this flat. And then we'll see what happens there. We'll go with 1, we'll go with 2, and we'll go with 3. And this is going to be breaking the low. So the entry for the seller is absolutely a good one, right? Now for the upside, we'll have to wait. If it's this running flat, which means if this is the contracting flat and it's that running flat, we have to wait. I'll leave it like this until that proves itself. EuroCAD, good sell. If you took a second sell, you're doing well. If you took a second sell here, there was a flag there, very small one, but a flag, that one. If you took that, put it to break even. Put that to break even now and leave it. It's going down slowly. I think one of our trader, at least we discussed that before you guys came in. One of our trader in that room, just put it to break even, keep it. There's no divergence here, so it could keep crawling down some more. If at any point they make a deeper correction, the worst case is you get break even. If you're in this one and you took the profit here, that's perfect. Wait for this. Euros, okay, you have a trade set up, perfect, ready to go. So there's a perfect trade setup here for you. You might get a running flat. I don't know if this running flat belongs to this because we don't have anything in here. I don't think it belongs to. You might get a running flat in the future, but still take the trade because we don't know how far it will go. Take it under the last impulse, right? So even if they're going to drop like this and then pull back, you'll get profit, right? You get out of the trade there and then you wait for this pullback. You go with this and then we'll sell again. Big picture, are we going down? Let's see. Yep, downside has a lot more to go. So it's a good sell. Let's go. Euro Swiss. Okay, if you put your entry here, you should have actually put it there when once we get this. When I left yesterday, we didn't have all of this, right? Because I did it in the morning, right? And you should have put it there, and you probably would have closed it and put it here. If you put it here, close it, close the trade, take break even, wait for this to pull back and then go with the trade. This one is not as clear as it looks. So wait for this to pull back, make a flat, and then we'll go, because I think that's a small one. We're making a bigger one here. If you want to put the entry here, I don't think that's a good idea. It's coming down, but I don't think that idea is good because I don't see the flat pattern there. Right, so let it pull back first. Take off the trade. If you miss the trade, no problem. If you're still in the trade and you want to put, if you can put it to break even, depending on where you enter. Let's say you entered here, and you can put that to break even, do it. If not, take off the trade, wait for a pullback or wait for a flag, and then we get back in the trade. Euro yen. This sell is a good one. If you took the first sell and you close it, you did. If you took the second sell, well, the second sell didn't have anything. This was a sharp pullback. We'd want a 1, 2, 3. But if you took it here, you close it because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A lot of hours to close it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. You should be out of that trade. Even if you didn't close it there, you close it here, and you see why, right? So that's going back up. I think that would probably be just a deeper correction. Take the sell out. So this was a good one. Now you still take these sells because this potentially could go down. Now this is a sharp move, so I don't think that is the whole move to the upside. We'll wait for this to pull back, probably go back up, give us this flat, and then that would be a perfect sell setup, something like this, and that a perfect buy. So you get a perfect sell setup to the downside. Just wait for the move. It will take a while, and then we get a trade. There's no buy setup in this. I don't see any buy setup there. Nothing, no reason to buy it either. Euro pound. It's coming down, but we don't have the sell setup as yet. Once this pull back, make that flat, you're going to get the sell setup. So once it pull back, we'll go for the sell. Pound Swiss. I don't think that's all the flag. We're making a bigger correction here. And once we finish the bigger correction, we're going to drop. Now, the range of the bigger correction is huge. That is 114, and you're getting a flag in the middle. If you can handle the risk, you can trade within the range. But I think be careful, be very careful, right? Let them finish the big flat, and then we'll go for the trade. At least only one move, up move. Let them finish the down move and go back up, and then we start looking for the sell. Pound New Zealand. Okay, this is going back up. There was a buy setup, but I don't know if anybody took it. I wasn't there. So if any one of you took this in the European session, New York session, good. If not, just wait for another flag. It's going up again. Wait for another flag. We'll see. I don't think this is a running flat. We're looking at the running flat from the bottom here with this smaller one. But if this turned out to be the running flat, then we'll probably go back and break the top. So let's see. Wait for a flag. Without a flag, there's no trade. Pound yen. Okay, there was a buy setup here, and I hope a lot of you got it. Anybody got that trade? Come on, just give me a yes if you got it, because that is a trade yesterday afternoon you guys should have got. We didn't exclude the running flat at all, right? Well done. Good job. I hope more of the people in the New York session. It's a New York session trade that should have happened yesterday afternoon. So when we get in the New York session today, we'll see how many traders took that. Right, we did not exclude that possibility, although it came down. And I said, even if it comes down, we have to have a really big flat to exclude. Any flag now we will buy. I think it still proves our point. That is a running flat. So let's wait and see, because this is the only one that we didn't have. And this was really sharp. Great, well done. A couple of you guys. I think in the New York session, more people will get it. So this is the session for London. Most of you are not in the New York session there, right? Pound CAD. Just wait. I think I just told one trader and to close the trade, but you can put it to break even and wait. I think it's going to go back up. I think this here will probably go back up for make a small flat like this here. There's a chance it's going to drop and go back up for a bigger flat like this, and then we're going to drop. If this one goes up right there, that is better yet. Take the trade. But I think you'll get a small flat here first before you go. So let's wait. Thomas. This one on the upside, let's see. Let's put it in the 15. Let's see. It's going up slowly. So if you put yours to break even, somebody just asked me if you put it to break even, good, well done. But still, I keep an open eye because this is a lot of consolidation in here. So normally when you get that, you get a running flat in the future. So you end up with this coming back. This, because of all this consolidation in this down move, tends to pull back here and then go, giving you a running flat like that. So put it to break even. And if it takes you to the running flat, put the entry here. If not, we'll look for that trade to the upside. Can it drop from that point? It can. So you can definitely put a sell entry here. Right? You can put a sell entry there because the chances of downside are pretty huge, right? This could be just a correction that drops. Because this thing could be 1, 2, 3, and it's over. We do have divergence, right? That is over. Can it go higher, make another flat here and then go? It's possible. That's why the buy is also okay. But the buy, since if you're in already, you're on the caution side, put the break even. If you're not in, then just stay away from it for now. Aussie Swiss. Okay, so we're probably making a flat here for the upside. We got a sharp one here, we got a sharp one there. We're consolidating in here. Probably will go back up there, come back here, and if we get this, we'll be buying to the upside. At least we'll try to get the buy from here to the top. When we break that top, we'll put the break even. If they're going down, this would be a bigger flat. So it's taking a long time. Let's just leave it alone. Wait. Aussie yen. Okay, I think we might consider this also. We didn't really call the buy on this one, but we can consider this an expanding flat. See, they broke the low. This is to show you the low, it broken. I don't know, we have a buy set up here. I probably wouldn't have taken this one because it's not very clear. The pound was much clearer. This one is not so clear, so we'll just wait. If it's proving the upside, just pull this like this. It's very sharp, so it's not a flag for downside. But if it's proving the upside, it means once we come up here and make a flag, we'll start buying. If it is going to drop, you can put a sell entry under the low. Don't put it here as yet because a running flat is possible. So we'll see in the New York session, we'll know whether we get a buy or a sell on this one. The upside is very likely. All the yen pairs, I think what 4 yen pairs had this pattern. Aussie CAD, you're getting the one more down we spoke about. There's dropping below that piece, and then we look for the upside too, because very likely this thing should go back up. I don't see how come this standalone, just like the pound yen, right? We don't have anything to put this with. So we know this was gonna break, but then from there, we'll see if we still get that upside. I still think it's possible. I don't see whereby, this keeps going down without fulfilling this one. Most times it becomes running flat like this, right? See this whole big running flat there. So let's wait and see. Aussie, New Zealand. If you took the buy, well, you probably closed it already. It's going up, but it's pretty useless. In terms of trading, it's useless. You would enter and close that trade, but 3 times already, so leave it. New Zealand, Swiss, let's see what we have here. Not much. So take this out. This is not a correction. I don't see this as any kind of a correction here. Let me see this. If we make a running flat here, then we can consider the sell, which means if this comes back here like that and decide to drop, we'll sell it. If it makes a running flat, we'll sell it. It could go back all the way to the bottom. It will prove that we're not going up, but we're coming to retest this low. So if it pulls back as a running flat, we go with the trade, right? This would be the flat. This would be a correction. This will just be corrections along the way. So if we get a pullback here and we see this is a running flat, we're going for that trade. New Zealand CAD. Well, you should be in this trade with an entry under this low, or if you actually put it like that, well, it's a contracting flat, so you probably would still have the entry under the low. And now we broke this low. So just like the New Zealand dollar, we broke this low. And the question is, when you break that low, what happens next? Do we come and break this low? So if it keeps going down like this and making flags or correction here, we'll keep selling it to break this low. Right? I don't know if they will break the low. We'll see when we get there. New Zealand yen, we haven't looked at the bigger structure in that one as yet. New Zealand yen, I think this was one more that we thought could go up because we didn't have anything for this one unless we put it as a contracting flat. Right now, it's not even clear. Right now, you can't say this is upside, right? That looks more downside. As a matter of fact, if you ask me, I would say put an entry order for a sell here. Put an entry order for a sell there. If it goes up, we wouldn't get the buy here. We will only get the buy once you do this and you make a flag above here, then we can take that buy. And then we will negate the possibility of a contracting flat and go for an expanding flat. But if that contracting flat is right, this thing could drop straight to the bottom. Right? Considering that New Zealand is going down somehow. So we'll put it like this and we'll wait to see whether we get that one to break the top or whether we get this one. In terms of trading, not a problem. Just put the sell right now because you have a sell set up and wait for the buy. If it spikes higher, then we will consider buy. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to decide where it's going to go right now. Right? Just let it be. Let it do what it's doing. And I think we can put our entry under this one here and leave it. Let's see what it does. Canadian. I think Canadian was another one. We had this long drawn out pattern for the upside. Yeah, we're looking at that possibility for a running flat. Turn out it might be the running flat. So I think that the three were the Canadian, the Aussie yen, the Pound yen. And the rest of them, and New Zealandian as well, 4 of them, New Zealandian. So we were around those 4 for the running flats. Seems they're doing what they're doing. I don't know if any one of you got this trade, but if you get a flag here, this would be a perfect trade to break it up. Okay. So seems that these 4 would give us the running flat as we were looking at it. Right? Euro yen didn't have it. See, Euro yen is looking more downside, right? We're not looking at Euro yen for a buy. I think Swiss yen didn't have the same structure. It's slight different. We'll check it just now. Okay, you're making some kind of a consolidation here. Let that finish, and then we'll look for sell setups. Look more like a sell. Swiss yen, I think, didn't have that pattern because Swiss yen had a complete pattern here already. See? And that is why this dropped so much to the bottom there. So now we'll have to decide, are we going back up after this, which means is it going to make it, is this a corrective structure enough? Is it making a bigger correction? Is it going to go break the top, or will we just make a flat here? It's possible this never breaks the top as well, right? This could just be making the first impulse of a possible bigger correction right here and drop, right? Can it go break the top? Well, if it breaks the top, this would just be a single deep correction of its own, or would we look at it as this? We still don't have anything for that. So I don't think we look at it as a big running, expanding flat like this or running flat like that. I don't see anything to put this as yet, but we'll check it back. Could we put it at this one? Maybe, maybe not. We'll just wait. Let's stick with this for now. And then we'll come back and we'll relook at it, see if we got a drop. But if we were going to, you don't have to buy this, right? Here's the thing. You don't have to buy this. You buy it, you have the Pound yen, you have the New Zealand yen, you have the Aussie yen, you have a lot of yen trades with that possible pattern to buy if you want to. You have the dollar yen that you should be buying, right? So just let this do what it's doing and then we'll figure it out later. And let's go to this one. I hope you got the trade, right? It's above the top. You probably could have done it lower. I wouldn't put the entry here. I'd leave it above the top. The reason I leave it above the top is we know when we get this consolidation here, the chances are they'll just come here and go back down. So the entry above the top, because you did have a complete flat here, it's good. If you're in the trade, you may want to put it in the positive because it could pull back, right? So, okay, guys, since we're doing this in 2 parts, I'll close this one here. I hope you guys enjoy it. For my YouTube viewers, if you managed to watch this to the end, you learned something. Because on most of the charts, I stopped to explain the patterns. And if you do and you think it's of any value to you, please share it. I'll see all of my traders in just a few minutes. 5 minutes, I'll close Zoom and I'll come back in 5 minutes. You guys come back immediately. See you in 5 minutes. Thank you for being here. I hope to see all of you again.